Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnston and these are The Interesting Times, a show which looks and laughs at UK politics. At the start of the week, everyone in the UK political orbit gathered at Liverpool for the annual Labour Party conference to see the government just over 1 year in power. Are they going to make the full five? Is Starmer going to be their leader in 2029? More importantly, is he going to be ours?
The Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has revealed MPs have been privately urging him to return to Westminster to challenge Sir Keir Starmer for the Labour leadership.
He insists he's only trying to help, but his not too subtle digs at Keir Starmer's leadership have prompted a backlash from some within Labour.
Has your leadership campaign already crashed and burned?
I've not launched a leadership bid, so I don't know what you mean.
Leadership campaign? What? Oh no, I've done no such thing. I was simply not giving a direct answer when asked if I was mounting a leadership challenge and spelling out my own vision of what a Labour government should be doing, were it to be led by me, or Keir Starmer, or me, and speaking at the conference being bathed in a literal red light like I'm belting out pearls as singer while telling all that the Labour Party is going in the wrong direction. But I never, ever said I was launching a leadership challenge. And yes, if you want to nitpick, I never denied it either. So, back off to the not inconsiderable job of Mayor of Manchester, Andy. But don't feel too bad. You're not the first to travel from Manchester to Liverpool with high hopes and leave empty-handed. So, the second party conference of this Labour government, and this one seemed to have a theme. Now, you might think it would be something like the economy or the NHS or education. You might think that, but you'd be wrong.
Tim, what are we looking out for? What's number one?
How patriotic will Keir Starmer be? He's going to give a big speech. Will he wave a flag?
The theme was patriotism. In particular, the most superficial form of patriotism you can get, flags.
This is the time for bringing the whole country together.
Flag and I will fly it.
You'll fly it. And why is there a problem with flags on the left?
Coloured in red, white and blue, and I know you're a big fan of the red, white and blue of these flags.
Okay, honestly, this is just weird now. The country's economy is going through all 7 shades of shite, and you're concentrating on flags?
Why is the left concerned about, why won't they embrace a flag like you do? Why is the left so worried about flags?
The left does embrace the flag. Have you not seen all of the Labour banners everywhere when you're welcomed in with the flag? Yes. My Labour Party membership card is the Union Jack. Yes. We're very proud of our country.
Some people are on the left, are they? And that must be a worry for you.
I think, didn't we kick those out a few years ago?
Yeah, those twats and their desire to help the most vulnerable in society and indeed the world through a fair taxing system, the losers. That, by the way, is Stephen Reid, the housing minister. That bit will be more important a bit later. Stick around, trust me on this. And Stephen was only too happy to take a union flag, and obviously he had to wave it around just to make sure it was, working. But honestly, he wasn't the only one getting frisky with a flag.
And now with Aisha Hazarika, Baroness Hazarika, you've got a GB News flag. How do you feel?
I feel very patriotic.
I feel better and stronger, and it's a unifying thing. We're told that by Keir Starmer.
I feel very unified.
It's time the left embrace that in a flag.
I am embracing the flag. I could not be embracing it anymore.
I'm feeling very unified. I love the flag. Please don't report me to the secret police and tie me up and put me in a bunker. Is this seriously where we are now? Sorry, can't scrap the 2-child cap or stop freezing pensioners as I'm 69 in a Union Jack. Kind of reminds you of something, or rather someone else. Well, that wasn't the only similarities the so-called Party of the Worker was happy to have with Man Tango Baby. Here is Stephen Reid, again, signing red baseball caps with Build Baby Build on them. Yes, you remember.
Drill, baby, drill.
Well, we have.
Build, baby, build.
And to add to all of that, Stephen Reid is even taking on the hand gestures of the man. Look at this.
We secured £100 billion of private sector investment to start cleaning up pollution.
And if all that wasn't bad enough, He's also got Trump's attention to detail and love of the press asking him questions.
How many homes have you built so far under Labour?
Well, do you know how long it takes for a planning application to go through?
Just how many?
Do you know how long
Just
it takes?
Just give me the figure.
Well, we're currently dealing with dealing with the tail end of what the Conservatives were doing, because it takes more than 18 months from an application to the home being built.
Please answer the question.
No, but I'm not going to take they can afford to rent.
Forgive me.
It's putting the key to a decent home in the hands of the British people. Because you've got a stat on a bit of paper that I haven't got says nothing whatsoever,
I'm surprised.
other than you're trying to do a gotcha moment.
Oh, give him a break. He's been busy all morning signing baseball caps. Yes, apparently asking the housing minister how many houses they built is a gotcha question. Great. Now you've got me siding with the political editor of The Telegraph on GB News. A bit less build, baby, build, and more know the most basic answers to questions you might be asked at a Labour conference by a non-partisan newspaper journalist working for a very non-partisan TV channel. Baby, know the most basic answers to questions you might be asked at a Labour conference. Oh, you get the general idea. By the way, the official figures for new homes won't be out until next month, but estimates put it at about 231,000 between July last year and September this year, or a little over 15% of the government's target in about 22% of their time. So yeah, put that on a baseball cap. Still, if you thought that interview was bad, and I've no doubt you did, spare a thought, because I kind of think she could really do with it, for the person with the nation's financial future in her hands, Rachel Reeves.
Well, what I would say is I've been Chancellor now for 451 days, and there's been difficult days.
Whoa, it's a bad sign when you've been in the job for over a year and you're measuring it in days. Yes, I've been Chancellor for 451 days, which is 10,048 hours, or 38,966,400 seconds. But honestly, it's great. 38,966,401, 38,966,402. Honestly, I'm so happy I'm crying.
We're 15 months into this government, and as the first Labour Chancellor in 14 years and the first female Chancellor in 800 years, I am genuinely loving this job and the chance to serve, because that's what I came into this for, just the chance to serve and make our country
great again,
a bit better off.
I'll take it.
Are you going to, can you rule out increasing VAT? It's a yes or no?
What I'm saying to you is
I've asked the question, can you rule out increasing VAT?
A reason.
I know, but can you rule it out?
The manifesto stands, and it stands for a reason, Susanna.
OK, so sorry, I just want to translate this. You will not increase VAT in the budget.
The manifesto that we stood on made those commitments around VAT, income tax and national insurance, and we did that for a good reason, and that reason continues to exist. So that's why we made that commitment, and that manifesto commitment stands.
I don't understand. Sorry, are you going to raise VAT? It's a simple yes or no answer.
Yeah. No, the problem is, Susanna, is that as soon as you answer one question, you'll move on to the next one.
Well, that's kind of how interviews normally work, although not in this case. Susanna Reeves still very much stuck on, will you raise VAT? You've managed to answer commitment, stand, manifesto, stood on, reason.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
So the Labour conference is over for another year. Maybe next time they can make it a little less Trump and more Ryder Cup.
Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching Donald Trump? Are you watching Donald Trump? Aye.
And that's it. No time to talk about a reform councillor who very much said the quiet part out loud.
You know, I've been overwhelmed with the contacts I've had from people within Falkirk. And, you know, there is a true unrest, and it's scary. It's scary as a local resident, somebody who's born and bred here. I shouldn't have said that.
Well, do you see why this is? People sometimes think that reform are very much against having people
It just came out.
1 minute I was thinking it, and the next minute I was saying it. And now, purely by the fact that I'm saying that local people are scared of foreigners, others are going to call me racist. And speaking of reform and bread, no time to talk about the ex-reform candidate Nathan Gill, who last week was found guilty of taking Russian money for speaking in the EU Parliament. However, it should be noted that Nathan did this while he was with UKIP, so nothing whatsoever to do with reform. I mean, yes, he did a talk with Nigel Farage back in 2019, but that was the Brexit Party, which has, as I say, nothing to do with reform. And according to Zia Youssef, most senior people in the leadership team have never really heard of the guy. That leadership obviously doesn't include Nigel Farage, pictured here with Nathan Gill, or Richard Tice, pictured here with Nathan Gill, or indeed Nigel Farage and Richard Tice, both pictured here with Nathan Gill. Okay, look, I'm a fair person, so we'll leave the final right to reply to Nigel Farage. Nigel, can you confirm, please, that you'd never heard of Nathan Gill?
For Nathan Gill, our leader in Wales, an honest, decent, honourable man who's been loyal to me and the party at all times. Nathan, you've led UKIP Wales into this, and well done, you.
Ooh, awkward. And that's putting it mildly. And finally, in a kind of perverse flip on what happens with the regular news, I'm leaving the horrifying news until last. Last Thursday, not for the first time, horror and terror came to Manchester.
Security has been stepped up at Jewish sites across the country after a deadly attack on a synagogue in Manchester.
This was a deliberately anti-Semitic attack occurring on Yom Kippur, the holiest of Jewish days. Now, I won't be mentioning the racist murderer or even acknowledge him with a picture. If you want to find those details, they're readily available. The two individuals killed were Adrian Dalby and Melvin Kravitz, both by all accounts genuine, warm, caring members of their local community. Special mention, of course, must go to the synagogue's rabbi, Daniel Walker, who led the congregation to safety and even continued the service after the attacker was shot. And the security guards that blocked the door to stop the murderer getting in and making the death count that much higher. They genuinely saved lives. And also to the police, who were at the scene 7 minutes after they received the initial call and shot the attacker after he refused to stop at the scene. So with all that, a couple of things, if I may be so bold. The first thing to say is that when something like this happens, we should all, every single one of us, check ourselves and ask firstly, did anything I say or do contribute to this individual believing that he was in any way supported in doing this? Now, I'm pretty sure I haven't done. And of course, conflating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism is as daft as conflating anti-Hamas with Islamophobia. It's a nonsense. The Prime Minister spoke at the scene, as did Andy Burnham, showing the unity this country needs at this time, as did the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood. But it was David Lammy's speech that drew the most media attention. I guess for all the wrong reasons.
Therefore, I have great pleasure in introducing our Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy. And before I do, please, we know how we all feel. We know how we all feel.
Go to Palestine! Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine! Leave us alone!
Friends, we must stand together today. We must stand in grief, in solidarity and in defiance.
I have to say, fair play to David Lammy. Couldn't have been easy to stand and address what was, after all, a pretty hostile crowd. But sometimes, unfortunately, that's the job. So on to the fallout from this. The Palestinian protest that happened on the same day, the press, rather depressingly and predictably, had painted as lacking care or even celebrating the attack. But that's not true. These protests would have been organised weeks or even months ago. And there are quite a few saying that the pro-Palestine marches that happened yesterday shouldn't have gone ahead. And I have to say, I can kind of see their point. These marches can only be successful if they have managed to get the government to change its mind. And that can only happen if you get the majority of British people on your side, which up until now you've done pretty successfully. But a march on the Saturday will appear to be tone deaf. And although clearly the murderer was not spending their time on peaceful protests, the association that some will make could really set the Palestinian people's cause back months or even years that they simply don't have. I suspect it won't happen though. I'm recording this on the Saturday afternoon, and that's a shame. I will leave the last word to a Jewish lad from Salford. Zach Powalski. Sorry, I shouldn't do the accent, a bit disrespectful. Anyway, over to you, Zach. And honestly, I'm quite warming to him.
I think it's really problematic if someone is trying to weaponise the attack that happened yesterday to try and silence protest in this country against the genocide. Again, they're separate issues. Of course, I would make a call to everyone to be sensitive to the Jewish community, to recognise what's happening. But again, speaking as a member of the Jewish community, I wouldn't want anyone to feel like they had to be silent about a genocide that's happening because of an outrageous, atrocious attack that happened on our soil too.
Thank you all so much for joining me today. Please feel free to subscribe, like, share, and hit all the notifications tab. And I will see you all soon. Take care.